Hello, my friends. Allow me to quickly express my frustration at this being the third time I'm attempting to make what always ends up being a 20-minute video. So I've tried it on a separate device that ran out of memory, and on a separate device that didn't capture my voice. It was like muted. You could barely hear me. And then I tried doing it directly to YouTube, which then captured it as a broken link 19 some odd minute video. So this has been a challenge. And of course it makes me wonder, well, it doesn't make me wonder. I know why these things happen. Something doesn't want me to get this message out to you guys. But it's very important. Little bit of backstory real quick. I've posted some things on our open forum group, speaking about where I believe I got Morgellons, or Morgellons, however you want to say it. I don't believe that's the correct name anyhow, because the gentleman in the 1600s who discovered this cotton worm, Mr. Morgellon, what he discovered is very similar in many ways to what we have, but it doesn't encompass everything that it's become, if that makes sense. So, kind of like NASA gallons, government gallons, we're science experiment gallons, gellins. Are you gelling? Ha! I'm gelling. So anyways, in 2013, my disease became activated. I was working at an assisted living home specializing in Alzheimer and dementia care in Campbelltown, Pennsylvania, right outside of Hershey. I had only been there maybe 4 months at this point, and because it started here, I thought that perhaps something had got behind my face mask, because we wore gloves and face masks. We provided care from head to toe. Yes, we wiped heinies and all those wonderful things. So my first thing was it seemed like a speck, like a blackhead, and I went to get it and it would not get. Hence why my scar looks like tweezer marks, because that is exactly what they are. When I noticed that this thing would not pop or heal or whatever for like 3 weeks were going on at this point, I'm like, this isn't normal. So I opened up my laptop and I began Googling my symptoms, and it led me to YouTube videos that, needless to say, were pretty scary. I was watching ladies pull fibers out of their sores and plain skin, and I was watching people's sores, them showing them not healing for months, and it was very disheartening. So much so, and I had custody of my 2 oldest boys at the time. I had primary physical custody, let me say it that way. And so I then saw these people were saying that they were being diagnosed with delusions and paranoid delusions and delusional parasitosis, and I'm like, nope, not me. This isn't me. I've got something else they haven't discovered yet, or I don't know. It's because of my environment I'm working in. I don't know. I had to put it away. I shut the laptop. I couldn't handle that. And so I didn't. And I kept it in remission by not putting any mind power on it, by not thinking on it, by not entertaining it. And maybe every year, 2014, 15, 16, I would go back and look it up like once. And when I saw that it was more of the same / worse, shut that laptop, done. I'm not, nope. They ain't figured it out yet. They ain't figured out the simple thing that I have, that the other people have something worse, and it's not me because I got something else that's not discovered, but it's simpler answer. Yeah. Mind over matter. If I didn't mind, it didn't matter, and it did. It kept it at bay, and I did get a couple of scars in those first years. You know, I had to just do what I could do. I cleaned my skin and continue to cover with makeup, try to go to work, try to do the best I can. All the while, you know, I've got my first ex-husband, a narcissistic sociopath, going and calling down to Georgia telling, oh, hey, your daughter's a meth head. Didn't even know that for years, by the way. Just thought my family just slowly stopped wanting to talk to me. You know, I'm sure many of you can relate to the just absolute throwing away that happens with this disease. So fast forward to February of 2018. I'm working at Tractor Supply Company, loving my job, doing great at it. I've got chickens at this point I'm raising. I'm learning how to be a chicken mama. It was wonderful. And then my friend Cameron, who was fixing to move into, sorry, I'm a Southern, he was fixing to move into the apartment that we had just moved into, a property in the country, 5 acres. We wanted to get more chickens. It's a problem. Cameron got murdered. And I very strongly feel like it's the people that he was living with. It was like a catch-all type of house. You know, there's a bunch of teens there that want to do what they want to do, and there was a mom and there was a stepdad. There was 2 daughters from the mother and a son, I guess, and then the other 6, 7, 8 people were just random older teens, young adults. I was now living 2.5 miles from these people, and I suffered a terrible PTSD break, which I had never suffered before, and I was living in terror. So from February 2018 to maybe May, June, then I looked, for some reason God pressed it upon me, and I am a Christian, full disclosure, since I was 5. But God pressed upon me to look up this disease again, which at this point I pretty much knew is what I had. And I looked it up again, and lo and behold, the CDC had recognized it as an official, albeit very rare disease, meaning less than 20,000 people a year claim to have it. I was excited because now I've been waiting 5 years to talk to somebody about this in the professional field without being hopefully labeled a quack. And in the meantime, my enemy had already made it so that my children were taken away from me through other means. My oldest was kidnapped right before he turned 11. 6 months later, my second no-spine husband followed suit. And no shame in saying that, because I got plenty of validation to back up the negativity that I speak over these people. They are hateful. They want nothing to do with God or anything of goodness. So I made an appointment for August of 2018 to go to a place called Mercy Med here in Columbus, Georgia, which is where I stay. And it's a low-cost volunteer doctor type place. They'll give you like a slide and scale payment plan or whatever to pay your visit. $35, right? And pardon me. Yeah, I got de-stressed somehow. So made my appointment. Like I said, been waiting over 5 years to try to get help for this disease, and I spent 3.5 hours at this place with my 3-year-old at the time, going over everything with them that I could. Because I don't like doctors, I don't like hospitals, and I don't trust them. Medical malpractice is one of the leading cause of death in the United States, and yet people are so, oh, trust your doctor. Like, did you hear me? Medical malpractice kills almost as much people as any of the biggest cancers. Try to wake people up, you know. It's like, you gotta crack their heads against each other. But, so essentially what come out of this 3.5 hour appointment is, the doctor himself, I only got to see for 5 minutes, if that. He prescribes me an antipsychotic and pain relief for my shoulder that has no cartilage left in it. Now, let me give a quick little backstory about how at 16 years old, I signed my life over to the United States Air Force because I wanted more than anything to work on planes. I was very mechanically minded. I scored very high in my ASVAB in the mechanics section, and that's what I wanted to do. So I joined June 29th is when I went into basic training at 17 years old. I had just turned 17 on February 26th of 2000. And when we got off the bus, when we got to San Antonio, they put us basically in a cattle line and they gave us injections, which were supposedly booster immunizations. I think I got 3 or 4 of these booster immunizations, and one of them, God would later reveal to me this year, one of them was this disease. Now, I have gone back since, and just maybe 2 months ago, I went online to look up my my basic training graduation pictures, which are you can easily find them online from any basic training flight from any year except mine. So I found mine, or what I recognize the people. Now, granted, excuse me, excuse me, this is almost 20 years ago. I'm 36. So what picture I found I should have been in, I can't find myself. I can see people I went through basic with. I'm not in the picture. Now, if I go on Facebook, or even back when I went in MySpace and whatever, I'm looking up my friends throughout basic and tech school. Aside from the few that I've been connected with on Facebook for years now, which includes my ex-fiance and that group of friends, literally like 4 of us, I can find none of them. I can't find not one other person. And by the way, my ex-fiance, we didn't go to basic together. We weren't in the same flight, let's say that. We'll put it that way. No one from my flight of, I don't know, 100 people? I don't know. Maybe there's like 50, 60 people. It was a lot. It was a lot. I can't find any of them online. Not one. Not a trace of them. So that's odd to me. Very strange. And maybe I'm not supposed to be alive right now. And I am. Ha. But the point of all this is to say that when I found this open forum group in May, and I may have to make this into 2 videos because I feel like it's getting kind of long. So how about let me wrap this one up and we'll do that. And then my next video is going to be not so much backstory as it is based on what's getting me results, okay? And let me finish up this backstory by saying, once I was injected with whatever, with this disease in basic training, 17 years old, okay? 3 things within 7 months happened that were of significance to me. The first thing to happen is within 3 weeks of me receiving that injection, I get a call, and anyone who's been through basic knows that 3 weeks into it, you don't get phone calls. You can't even write letters yet. And in 2001 anyways, 2001. I got a phone call, and they directed me down to the payphones. They said it was the Red Cross. Here my mother had to lie and say it was my cousin, because they wouldn't get a hold of me if it wasn't family. But here, in fact, my boyfriend had been murdered. I'll say it that way. He hadn't been murdered, but he got killed in a head-on collision. He went to pass a dump truck here in Columbus, and he got hit head-on by another dump truck. And he was killed instantly. His car was crushed. The next thing that happened is I went on to form a relationship with a guy named Shane. Wonderful human. Still friends to this day. And we got very close, and we got engaged. And so, of course, I was soon turning 18. I wanted to get on birth control. And I went for my very first pap smear when I turned 18. And it came back abnormal. And they told me that there was a lesion on my cervix, and that they needed to do a biopsy. And they did. I waited a week or so, and they called me in, and they said, well, it's not cancer, but it could one day turn into cancer. They didn't say it was HPV. They didn't say it was... They didn't give it a name. They just said you have a lesion on your cervix, and it's not cancer, but it could one day be. Okay? So about 2 months passes, and I'm standing in line in tech school. We're waiting to get dismissed so we can march home, and I'm not feeling so hot. It hit me out of nowhere. And I turn around because my fiance was about 2 people behind me or so, and I said, Shane, I don't feel so good. And he looks at me, and he runs to go get the instructor. Him and the instructor come back, and he looks at me. He says, I'm walking her to the hospital. And he said, yeah, go. Here I had a fever of 104.3. I had pneumonia all of a sudden in the middle of Texas. It was getting towards the end of the year, or it was getting colder, I think. So I think this was right after my birthday. It was still cold a little bit. But they gave me Robitussin and codeine, and I went home and took a bunch of that, and was all woozy, and that passed. But all those things happened within 7 months of me getting this shot in the Air Force. So that is my backstory. My next video is on how God had revealed to me, and through this open forum group, I met people that helped me understand things and how to put Pandora back in her box.